Okay, what is up, guys? We are back like we never left. Episode 5 of the Small Cap Review. As always, let's go ahead and jump on into it. So, CTMX, obviously the big main play of the day, gapping up 100%. And even before we get into the daily chart, let's take a look at a couple other things. To start, this thing on the fundamental side, 48% insider ownership. Um, anything over 20, 30%, um, raise the eyebrow, know that there could be some games with it. And then on top of that, this was an easy to borrow name. So with that being the case, and the current environment that we were in for shorts where you can pretty much just pick the leading gapper, short it at open, and call it a day. Um, short, when shorts get too comfortable or when longs get too comfortable with any certain thing, it just takes one name to totally shake the tree and kind of reset some ideas. So let's start with taking a look at the daily chart, and this had a really nice daily. I mean, it has been consolidating here since May of last year. Big sideways action, a couple gap up days. On this previous gap, you just get a fail, consolidation and sell off, but it holds these lows. We get a nice move up and some more consolidation, and now kind of held this trend line, maybe not exactly, but some higher lows forming on the daily for the first time. Oh, it did hold it perfectly. Crazy how that works. Um, so we have this nice kind of wedge building here on the daily. I mean, daily trend lines, they do work. Draw those out along with your zones, and then what we would get here is a beautiful high confluence level down here around 285, a little bit lower into this daily zone here, which is combined with this bigger daily zone in the recent past. So knowing that going into open, you see we don't even get a test of the pre-market zone when we open so close to it. We immediately get this selling off. So if you're a short, this is the exact action that you've come to expect coming from the current market environment that we're in. But I mean, we even get a nice little shelf under VWAP and some more selling, and I'm feeling good if I'm a short, in this thing. But power of daily zones, daily levels, and daily trend lines all stacked together, and we get a turn in the action. Starting from open, we get this nice decreasing volume, and the tides turn. We get this increasing volume. That's what you want, increasing volume on increasing prices. In the pre-market, let's see. Whoops. In the pre-market, we can start there. We get about 15.5 million shares traded. And then if you flash forward to the first 30 minutes, we're already at 54. So almost that 4 times volume that we like to see. We're looking for the first hour to get 4 times, and we got that in the first 30 minutes. So a powerful name in terms of the volume for sure. Um, you don't get this beautiful reversal pattern, just kind of this V shape coming here. No pullback, no pullbacks, just straight up. So joining it and playing this nicely on the long side definitely is a little trickier. But what we do get here before this halts up is this fake spike or the spike, fake stuff that just gets absorbed on top of this daily level. So um, again, if you're in this, you're short, you see this spike, you hit it short, and you feel like you have a good risk reward type situation going on, maybe back down to the lows, risking off of 420. But this name was ruthless. Hard halt up, resumption, more massive gains. I mean, just from the absorption of that spike up to the highs, can't even get up there, over 50%. So much meat on this bone. And then it also gave a nice little play to the short side as well. If you did not catch it, multiple nice plays to the short side. Um, you can try it here. Draw the fibs out. Orange, so it's easy. What do we get? We get this, we get this high day volume into the halt up, massive extension through these zones, almost fills this gap. We're over 25% extension into a gap fill. Um, if you don't, there's no reason to try to guess the top on this thing. So just be patient. Know that you're going to get a bounce. You can hit it here at the 50%, risking the highs, but even better, somewhere in the 61 to 78 range. And look at that, bang, right there, tight risk, risking. You play it perfectly. You're 565, risking 585. That's 20 cents on this name with a ton of range, um, and a nice fade back to this daily level. Obviously not all day fade criteria, so best to take profits where you can on a name like this. If you miss that move, you're like, oh man, don't you worry, we got more coming for you. Move those fibs on down, 61 to 78 fib at the gap entry level. And again, pretty nice risk reward here. I mean, you would, ideally, I mean, this, of course, hindsight, but get a play it move back down to VWAP, kind of at these lows. You get this absorption on this fake down, this move below that gets sucked up above. And once you see stuff like this on a name that's been a headache, easy to borrow, you just get this grindy, easy to borrow type price action into the close. So really awesome name. Mainly on the long side, I'm sure you won't see many losing charts on Twitter from the short side, but best thing you could do if you were short in this name is be smart, take some good cuts, um, learn a lesson here, and preserve that capital. So, great name. Hopefully, it gives us some nice momentum going into the rest of the week. Um, and we can move on from that. So I'm going to go the next leading gapper. The only other one, other 40%, was AKAN. Now, this one, I just did not love the setup on from a long perspective. When you got to zoom in on the chart like this, it's really not up that much. Come on. I don't get why it does this sometimes. It makes me scroll a mile on this right. All right. So this is a daily that you're looking at, and this thing is just, I mean, rinse and repeat. I mean, it's been like this for uh, months and months and months and months and months and months. Had one nice spike there. But this thing, every time, recent history, this is, maybe had some consolidation here with the EMAs, but up here, bounces off 21, 34, 21, 34, 21, 34, gaps above, slams down below, 34. So what do you think is going to happen here where we gap up to the 34? Probably gonna sell off. So that's what we get coming off of all-time lows here, heavily downtrending chart. Um, and I mean, pennies are nice, but some you gotta draw the line somewhere. I don't love playing stuff that's like 10 cents. Um, in terms of the price action that we get here, there's just a ton of levels that, and I mean, I think I probably could go in and even maybe draw some more on here, but just when you're gapping up into these levels, a lot of stuff for it to bounce around between. So this going into the day, I thought was probably going to be a chop name, and that really ended up being the case. You do get this decent play off the obvious daily level that you can draw here with all these pivots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10 pivots all in this daily zone here. So you do get a nice move. I think this ended up was like a little maybe 25% type of move. Nice double bottom, tweezer bottom, if you will, um, and then a tweezer top. So pretty clean action right there, but no real juice in this name. Volume non-existent really after the first 30 minutes of the day. So not too much to see, but being a leading gapper, we will talk about it. Easy up on this one. Do kind of get this flag into open, but again, no juice. If it's 10 cents and only trading, you know, high candles, 6 million or 7 million in 2 minutes. Um, Mainly looking at about a million shares a minute at 10 cents really is not a lot of dollar volume. So um, always keep in mind I'm tracking not just the volume of the volume of shares traded, but the dollar volume of shares traded. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Obviously, a million shares of something that's 10 bucks is very, very, very different than a million shares of a 10-cent stock. And I think the only other one that I'm really going to make note of and go over with y'all is SYT. Now, these names can be tricky where they're, obviously not going to be on your radar going into the day. And then, the way you're finding out about it, is right here, 10:06, your scanner is chirping at you and says SYT is halted. Um, so whenever I get something that's halted, always good to just go draw some lines out on the daily chart. And this is, you know, volume not non-existent on the daily. I mean, I don't even know what this is going to be, but what's the volume look like? Okay, up until today, right? This thing had 7.5 million shares traded total. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. And it's been since March 23rd. Yeah, the end of March. That's less than 8 million shares traded. So today, when you start getting a little bit more volume, I mean, nothing crazy, but a little bit more, I mean, um, it can really make some moves and break through some levels. So when you get this halt up, get these levels drawn out, they play super nicely here, but you do get a nice hold of the obvious daily level, get a couple pivots there, um, and then you get this nice move up into another halt. So, I mean, it is a name you cannot play with a ton of size because it doesn't have crazy volume, and kind of gives a vibe of a name that can give all of this back immediately. So have to be on your toes, try to catch it going in the right direction. But if you see these wicks and absorptions under this daily level, above this daily zone, you can try to play this for a move higher because even with everything looking close together on this chart, the range was super nice. I mean, right here, almost 30%, just zone to zone, quick play, 4 minutes, and you get gifted with the halt up. Possible to lose money at this point if you play it like a god. You can make 75% on that name in a couple quick minutes. So interesting to watch. And then, you see a candle like this on high day volume, you assume this thing's probably cooked. But again, absorption off the daily level, absorption off the daily level. EMAs never cross to the downside, and we start building from here, building from here. Again, even if you are super late to the party, you're a madman, you try to play it off this zone, still plenty of meat on the bone, 50% from there. So a lot of moves you could play on this. I would not ever try to short a name with the chart that looks like that, with volume so low. So that, kind of invalidates a fib bounce type situation, but they're not going to work 100% of the time, and you don't need them to. You just have to have good discipline, not take bigger losses than you need to, um, and let the coins stack up on your side. So I am going to leave it there. There wasn't a ton of names that are really worth looking at. I mean, we're not even gonna do it. I'm not doing it. We'll draw it there. If you guys have any questions, any charts you want to talk about, any themes, anything like that, please feel free. Leave a comment. First time in history, I'll say it. Hit the subscribe button. I know there's two of you watching. Subscribe. It costs you nothing. Helps me out. And encourages me to keep making these things. So appreciate you watching. I will catch you guys tomorrow for another small cap review. Thanks for tuning in and happy trading.